Today we're going to be doing episode number 2 of a 5-part series where we talk about Copilot solutions and the available solution sets that are coming into the market from Microsoft. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Today we only have 3 speakers. I have a very short portion of this. This is Ashley Tarver. I'm a data and AI evangelist with Microsoft. I'm based on the West Coast out of the Silicon Valley area, and I work with a lot of our strategic customers to help deploy our AI technology. Matthew, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, folks, and you're going to be hearing a little bit from me coming up. But I'm Matt Mead. I'm what's known as a global black belt technical specialist, so focused heavily around Copilot business applications, and I cover the Americas. So looking forward to the conversation today.
Perfect. And Brad, feel free to introduce yourself.
I'm Brad Garston. I am a partner with Microsoft, been working with Microsoft for a number of years. We specialize in helping companies with their AI journey, digital transformation, and any types of go-to-market strategies that they have. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Matthew, next slide. This is the series I was referring to. We did our first episode just a week or 2 ago, back in September 20th. We have today's event, which is not updated on this slide, but October the 2nd. And then we're going to be doing additional co-pilots, one around finance. We're putting together one we hope that will be around service. And then one of the last episodes will be custom co-pilots. The intent is you can take the off-the-shelf co-pilots that we have, but you can also custom build your own for your own company and for your own customers. And we'll get into some of those details. And it's also important to note that we're also available to do a custom session for yourself and your own company, because we are doing these across, every 3 weeks or so, we're doing a session. But if you see a topic on here that's relevant to you now, just reach out. We'll be happy to put the resources together and do a private session for you and your company if there's a specific Copilot solution that you're looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to take it from here, and appreciate the warm intro there, Ashley. So I'm going to pick things up a little bit, and as I mentioned in my introduction, so I've been focused on business applications for a very long time. But just to kind of set the stage, I think it's everybody's seeing right now, AI has come to work. Whether you're bringing your own tools and you're using them in the office place, or you're using tools that are sanctioned by your organization and pushing them out, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people, a lot of users, whether they're sanctioned AI products or they're bringing their own, are using AI for their work. Just wanted to land that up front because I think that's key about where the conversation is going to go next when we start to talk about selling and interfacing and building relationships with customers. So what we're going to talk about today is something called M365 Copilot for Sales, and it's really one of our first forays into what we call a role-based Copilot. And this is for everybody who has relationships with customers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But if you're using a CRM system like Dynamics or Salesforce or others in the future, this one is for you. And we'll break that down, and we'll talk about the problem we're solving for, and also talk about the solution and show you a good number of demos about how this works in a moment here. But first, to describe the problem, what we found for our research and being in this space for quite a while is that no one really jumps out of bed excited to go and use a CRM system in the morning. I'm one of those people. CRM is, maybe weekly, maybe monthly. I do my updates because I have to. But the reality is most people are getting up and they're going into Teams, they're going into Outlook, they're using their phones, and they're staying in those productivity tools of choice. And there's this large disconnect between that CRM system of records. So thinking about your forecast, your pipeline management, your lead management, and ultimately the book of business for all your opportunities and how you're driving forward is vested in that CRM system. So because we have this disconnect and people are using spreadsheets and they're using their own productivity tools and they're exchanging emails with customers, there's a lot of administrative overhead getting data from those productivity tools into those CRM tools. And what that leads to is really from, whether you're a seller, you're a wealth manager, you're a banker, you're a business development person, you're inside sales, doesn't matter who you are, if you've got a role with a CRM system, is that you're duplicating effort, you're having to jump between platforms, and updating that CRM really does come with some serious administrative overhead. So that is the issue we're trying to solve for. And what we're trying to do is increase the amount of time that sellers and folks interfacing with customers are actually spent with their customers selling. And we're going to do that in a variety of different ways. And you'll see that today inside these productivity tools that people know and love and have been using. We've been doing M365, formerly Office, for the best part of 40 years. It's around the world and it's enamored and it's familiar and it's comfortable. So why not bring that great CRM experience into those tools and make sure everything is kind of seamless where you're working and where you're most productive? So that's the problem we're solving for. So what is the solution here? And as I said, it's M365 Copilot for Sales, which is an AI-driven generative AI assistant. It's going to sit inside those productivity tools, and it's literally going to follow you around through different experiences, real-time connected to the CRM system. And today we support Dynamics 365 Sales and Salesforce. So it's going to allow me as a seller to, get summarization, next best actions, get insights, make direct updates back to the CRM system, or in fact do that through automation. And we'll talk maybe a little bit about agentic flows, which are coming, and have CRM kind of updated and helping me as you go, helping you make good decisions in Teams and Outlook and Word and other systems as we go forward. So really nice way to kind of use CRM where it's most productive. And then the downstream effect from a leadership standpoint is hey, we've got better quality data, we've got better forecasting, we've got better quality around the pipeline and what's above the pipe. So therefore, we're looking after our customers, we're reducing churn, and we just have better downstream effects from a reporting standpoint. And from a frontline salesperson or a BD, whoever's in front of the customer, it's really being able to make those good decisions and have those insights to hopefully land more business and increase your book of business with those customers. So if you can't tell, I love this topic. It's one of my favorites to present. I've been on the journey for a long time. So what I'm going to show you today is we're really going to focus on Outlook and Teams primarily. So we're going to look at summarizing emails, drafting emails, and managing opportunities, onboarding new contacts. And we'll also focus around preparations for meetings as well. So looking a little bit at how Teams brings that together from a collaboration standpoint, as well as the telemetry and the reporting and the recaps that come off these meetings. It's important to note that this is really an additional surface area on top of M365 Copilot. So if you've been following the series and you've seen some of the Copilot work that is already showing up inside Outlook and Teams, what we're doing is layering on an additional surface area of a role-based Copilot, meaning that your permissions in Salesforce, your permissions in Dynamics, the things that you can do through those systems today are 100% respected through what I'm about to show you. So we're just opening up those capabilities and those productivity tools and helping you, but we're absolutely building on top of those core M365 Copilot activities. It doesn't have to be an and/or, it's really a combined for the best experience in what we're going to show you. So with that, that's enough of me talking. Let's show you the goods and get you excited about what we're doing in this space. So I'm going to, just from a demo perspective, I'm going to take you through a banking scenario. And again, as I said, there's something for everybody here, regardless of your role. As long as you're in front of a customer and you're talking and you're nurturing, you're building the relationships, doing the hunting and the farming, there's something here for you. But I'm just going to look at it through the eyes of a business banker, nurturing a relationship with a client and onboarding some new opportunities here. So with that, extremely busy mailbox, lots of emails coming in, and I've received an email from Veronica here regarding a term loan that she's trying to secure for her business. So we have a lot of correspondence going back and forwards. She's also CC'd someone, Abby Moss. I don't know who Abby is, but hey, it could be an important stakeholder that I need to know about. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open Copilot for Sales. I'm going to pin that to the right-hand side of my screen. And you can see it's built out with a lot of key information, and we'll talk about where that's coming from in a moment. But what it means is I can now navigate with that pinned on the right-hand side to different emails from different clients. And that pane is going to update with real-time reflective information and insights about that client and the status of the relationship. So very, very powerful, right? Packs a punch right away that it's telling me a lot of good things that I need to know. First thing it's doing is it's summarizing all the most recent communication. So if I've spoken to Veronica before, any previous meetings, any previous emails in the last little while, maybe I've been tagged or mentioned in some chats, it's going to give you the bubble up the latest and greatest. So I have that at my fingertips. And of course, I can summarize that as well to get the latest snapshot. And then below that, I get something called key email info. So this is a little bit different to what you may have seen with M365 Copilot. This is now infusing information from the CRM system as well. So CRM, Salesforce Dynamics, Office Graph, if you've heard that term, what that means is documents, chats, emails, appointments, tasks, all of that kind of goodness that's happening in your organization related to Exchange and emails and everything that's happening on screen here is part of it. And then, of course, Azure OpenAI. So we put all that together, and then we can say, hey, from a sales perspective, she's requesting finance. We need an expenditure. We need a proposal. There's some CapEx expenditure happening here. We've got a budget. We've got some timing. We've got some monetary value. We've got the decision makers called out. I've got the stakeholders called out. And it's all here for me to get that kind of snapshot summary of what is going on in this relationship with this client. And of course, it's all grounded. So we're not making it up. We're not hallucinating. This is grounded in what is actually happening inside your organization when it comes to the Office Graph and what is happening out in Salesforce. And we combine those together. So we're not making it up. We have everything grounded there for reality. So I can use that summary, and of course I can, we'll talk about drafting an email soon. I can take that summary and I can share it directly up to Teams. So if I have a private Teams channel where I have a group of staff working on this particular relationship, share it with them, and I can also copy it and send it over to Salesforce. So we're capturing a record of it there too in that system of record. Again, these are easy buttons, really simple, synchronizing, getting things where they need to be very, very quickly. And you'll notice I've never actually brought up the CRM system to this point, and I'm not going to, don't need to. I can do it all from here. So that's kind of your key summary. The next piece is really related to the monetary value and the opportunity. So this email has been saved through to Salesforce. I had a button there. It said save it, associate it with a record in Salesforce. I can associate it to whatever I want. In this case, I associate it to the opportunity, the monetary value that I'm driving. And because I did that, now it starts to summarize what is actually happening within that relationship. So again, the timing, the sales stages, the next best actions, or the monetary value is all summarized for me. But there's actually a little bit more happening here as well. I have an extension out to a transaction hub. And in reality, this could be a marketing database, a campaign database, an ERP system, another transactional system. And this is an example of extensibility beyond what I'm just showing you here. So because we know everybody's not just living and breathing on the Microsoft stack, you have other systems in your ecosystem. So this is an example where I use Copilot Studio to talk to my transaction hub. And interestingly, in this case, this client hasn't completed her KYC onboarding. Critical in banking, she needs to be onboarded. We've got to do a risk profile. So I can bring that up in conversation right here when I'm exchanging emails with her. And then I also have some information from our website saying, hey, multiple stakeholders have visited the website from this organization. So I've got a little bit of campaign marketing information flowing in here as well. So just the messaging here is extensibility, 100%. We've got a very rich extensibility layer with Copilot Studio. You can literally connect to anything and blend it together to give you this type of experience as well. So that's kind of the key opportunity info. I'll keep moving on here because this is just the beginning of what we're showing. I have the term loan. So I have the opportunity record directly from Salesforce. I have the contact. So Veronica is my key contact. And you can see clearly that is a Salesforce record. We have that relationship. I have other opportunities I'm developing for term loans and leasing. And I also have the company she works for, Quantum Connect. So all my key Salesforce Dynamics objects are right here for me. And if I want to drill into Veronica's profile, again, I'm going to get a lot more rich information. I have some private notes that I've captured. So think about talking points that I may want to bring up and I'm on the phone speaking with her. These are just for me as a seller to have that at my fingertips when I need it. I have additional information here. I have a plugin with People AI, and they do a brilliant job of actually categorizing relationship health. So I can look at all of the telemetry around number of interactions, meetings, the call to listen ratio, number of emails exchanged, and whether she's engaging with the content I'm sending as well. Third-party add-on, there's an extra cost with that one, but it plugs in and works beautifully with our solution here. And then kind of getting back to the basics, I have Veronica's contact details directly from Salesforce as well as the account information. And you can see it's all been pulled in beautifully. All of the fields are configurable to match your system. And I can go in and I can actually start making changes to the data if I have permissions in that CRM system. Again, permission sets 100% adhered to. I can update this opportunity because I created it. And you can see I just go in, make my changes directly from here. And that is reflected in Salesforce in a matter of seconds. Real-time integration. This is my CRM system right here in front of me. So that's all that sort of the basics, how this works. And of course, I can create new records on the fly. You can expose what you want to create. I can search for information. And where it starts to get into a little bit of magic here as well is that because Abby Moss is not in Salesforce, and we've detected in the email she is a decision maker, she's a CFO in this case, it said, hey, this person doesn't exist in your CRM system. We did a duplicate check. We checked the domain. She's not there. By the way, we stripped the signature out. We pulled as much information as we can. And literally in 2 clicks, I can onboard her as a brand new contact inside Salesforce. Could be a lead as well. We actually give the option. You can onboard from a prospecting inside sales standpoint. But for this case, I know she's critical to this existing relationship. I just onboarded her as a new contact. We actually use generative AI to help us with that piece, and that makes it very helpful from a data hygiene, downstream client management standpoint. The one thing I don't have on here, I'll just mention quickly too, is suggested actions. You'll see a lot more of these in the coming months. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for buy signals. We're going to look for the data's shifted. I've secured funding. I'm going to pull forward. I'm going to buy sooner. I'm looking for, hey, I've changed job titles. I've moved companies. And you're going to see a ton with LinkedIn coming from November onwards. Nothing I can show or share today, but know that LinkedIn is going to be joined at the hip with this as well. So we're going to follow our key clients around because we want to know where they're going and we want to know who's backfilling them in these relationships, right, from a selling perspective. So next best actions, you're going to see a lot more of that coming in the next little while. But if you were to turn this on today, you will have a section that'll actually show you, hey, these are the things I think you need to do. Here's a checklist from a suggested action standpoint. I think that's everything I have from this piece. Oh, drafting an email. So, of course, pretty similar to what you've seen in M365, but we're now infusing Salesforce and Dynamics into the picture. So if I quickly want to reply to this email, really simple, I can go ahead, I can draft an email, and I have some hot button prompts here I can use, like make a proposal, I can bring in a previous meeting, reply to an inquiry, and of course, it's going to do as expected. It's going to go and connect to those systems, and it's going to do its best to draft a response. So we've got a basic response there, pretty straightforward, suggesting some meeting times. And I know there was a question early on about how does calendar come into the picture here? Well, it absolutely does. So we're actually going ahead and we're looking for available meeting times, potentially where I can meet with this client. So one, we're acknowledging from the email the client does want to meet. And then two, we're looking at the calendar for soonest availability. So I can now actually go ahead and choose, hey, Monday morning, 8 to 9 is a good time, 9 to 10, and it will incorporate that into my response to reply back. We're only just getting started on that piece. There's a lot more thought and engineering around what else we can do there, to stay within the realm of privacy, obviously. But absolutely, we're connected with calendar here. That's part of the journey. And of course, that response can be pasted in. I can tweak it where we're not sending the email on your behalf. We're co-piloting. We're helping you spark that creativity in the response. And of course, I can send that email out now.
Hey, Matthew, could I interject a quick question?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
So wondering about things like you just mentioned security. So consumer privacy, data privacy, as people are putting information in, do your models, ingest this information to build models out? I know a lot of, LLMs and a lot of the other AI companies are doing that. Do you guys do that as well? Are there options for me to change or tweak those settings?
Yeah, so we are not training LLMs on Azure OpenAI with your client data. So we're not replicating or copying any of the CRM data as part of the solution. We're real-time connected to that system. And our models, and Ashley may have some thoughts on this too, our models are proprietary models that we've created and trained with publicly available data. So they're pre-baked. We don't have to train them. There's no option to tweak that, Brad, but obviously the Copilot Studio layer offers you the opportunity to bring in your own LLMs and train and connect to other systems. Yeah.
So with Studio, what I'm hearing you say is if somebody already started, because I've talked to many different companies, many of my clients who they're like, well, we've already started with an LLM or we've already started with a tool. It sounds like you might be able to ingest that data as well. Is that right?
It is. Yeah. So if you've got that model published out in Copilot Studio, we can connect to it using the Copilot for Sales plugin, and you can ingest that model. What you have to do is obviously you've got your book of business with your client relationship system. You have to be able to correlate that a client over here, Veronica Sue, equals Veronica Sue over in this model, and be able to do that. And there's a bit of a technical layer to it, but folks who are going down that journey will be able to tie those systems together to make that correlation. But that's absolutely the thinking about Charles Lamanna and the approach we're taking here. We want folks to be able to use this as an accelerator to plug into the CRM system, but make it their own and extend into additional systems. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, as we have these conversations with our clients about Studio, we're seeing similar type of requests where, to your point, these systems have to get tied together, but it's great to know that it's open and will allow for that. Amazing.
Yeah, and I'll put a nugget in there. Any folks wanting to get started, there's actually a free custom connector that we've built that allows you to try some of this out in Copilot Studio to plug into Copilot for Sales. So if you've got some developers there who are kind of wetting their feet in this, trying to get started, download and use our connector to kind of get your training wheels, and that'll help you get started on that journey. Awesome. I'll keep jumping on, but feel free to interrupt me, folks, if you have other things there as well. Where I want to go next is to calendar, and I want to prove the point that Copilot for Sales is following me through my different surface areas and experiences. And obviously, where we're going to go very shortly is into Teams. But thinking about calendar, I can go ahead and next logical step is I probably want to meet with Veronica. I want to have a Teams call. I want to kind of secure this proposal. I want to land that business. And there's a journey that we're really going to follow here. It's going to be understand the customer and their needs. We're going to set up a meeting. We're going to prepare for that meeting, know what to say, have the competitive intelligence. And then when we come off that meeting, we're going to have this recap that we're going to be able to action, obviously, to make sure nothing is missed and close the loop. So just so you know, that's where I'm headed with this. But same thing in calendar. I'm going to meet with Veronica. Maybe I've had a long weekend. I haven't had enough coffee. What are we about to discuss? Copilot for Sales pops up again. It gives me the summary of the opportunity attached to the calendar meeting that I can get up to speed on. Hey, what was the last email exchanges we had to kind of get up to speed on all of the mentions and the asks that are going into that meeting. I've got all of the information again about the opportunity, the monetary value, the sales stage. Hey, that incomplete KYC with my Copilot Studio plugged in. And then I've got that I can go ahead and actually join that meeting. What I won't go into today is actually during a meeting call. It's a little hard to demo a Teams meeting on a Teams meeting, but just know that when I'm on a call, I will also have access to this to be able to make changes to the opportunity as I'm speaking. We're also going to have conversational chat. So if I get a question from a client, I can tap in using Copilot into additional, like a knowledge base, ask questions, pull documents while I'm actually talking to Veronica on the phone. Maybe something in the future, I'll show you a little bit more of that, but just so you know, there is a Teams inside Teams experience as well. But now I'm ready for that call. I'm going to go and do that. One thing we'll come back to that in a moment. One thing I just wanted to highlight here as well is the collaboration around the client. And what this is called is really a deal room. I'll just show you a little bit about this as well. One thing you may have seen in my previous demo there is I had this collaborate in Teams popping up throughout the different screens. What this is doing is really automating something that's typically very manual. I know I need to bring in Ashley. I've got to bring in Brad. We've got to collaborate. We've got to do the proposal. I need to get sign off. I've got to get the reviews. We've got to go through all that rigor that we normally would around those kinds of things. Literally with a couple of clicks here, I can set up my deal room and set up my private team associated to that opportunity directly from my Copilot for Sales in Outlook without even having to touch Teams. So in this case, I'm going to create a private team, which is regarding my my investment opportunities going on with Quanta Connect and Veronica. I'm going to make it so it's just limited to the deal team, meaning that the team associated to the opportunity in Salesforce and Dynamics. We want to keep this on the down low. I don't need everybody seeing this, so we're keeping it nice and private. And of course, we can invite others if I have permissions to do so in Teams. But what that's going to do is automate the creation of my deal room. So there is going to be some adaptive cards and some AI working for me from here as well. This is a little bit of an older screen of what you're seeing, but now I can start bringing in my colleagues on the deal team, and I start to use Copilot to share adaptive cards about the opportunity. So we're going backwards and forwards. We're collaborating. Maybe I'm using Planner to actually lay out here's the task and what needs to happen. But we're working in a certain way that's kind of private, connected to Salesforce, sharing information, sharing adaptive cards about who we're talking to, the relationship, and we're getting real-time kind of updates on the opportunity as it evolves and we advance it forward. Copilot will interject and give you those summaries just when anything changes to give you that refresh. The other thing that's actually pretty neat with this, I think we go in there in a second, is we pre-generate a file structure for you. So we know that we're going to have to get some contact information, proposal information. We probably want to have a OneNote set up that we're collecting notes. So we provision the file structure for you, obviously all connected to SharePoint, so we're not duplicating, replicating data. And if you wish, we can actually federate and create an external-facing Teams channel within this one for the client. So in this case, I created a channel there that was public-facing, well, facing to Veronica's organization, and she's able to collaborate with us on Teams as well. So you can see the example I just uploaded proposal. That's that special channel that's shared directly with Veronica's organization. So there's a bit of a technical lift in there on a couple of things. You've got to have that connectivity with that outside organization. But again, benefits to this is saving time, doing something you're probably going to do anyway manually inside Teams, but having it all linked and connected back with Copilot for Sales directly to the relationship selling that's happening in your other tools. And we have Salesforce information feeding in as we're moving things forward. Really, really nice little piece there that you'll see as part of this.
So if what I'm hearing you say right is it's really integrates not just Salesforce, but also other connectors. I mean, we've done this type of work with other clients in the past, and it's also the Salesforce connectors because obviously that's all resident within Salesforce, but then everything comes in to one screen.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to describe it. You're consolidating all of those extra clicks and interfaces, bringing it into one screen. And yeah, case in point, maybe you have a OneNote, maybe you have a pricing spreadsheet that everybody's working on. Maybe you have a Power BI report for your forecast. So all of those additional apps and experiences can be added into Teams directly from here where we're all working and collaborating together. So we're just automating it and we're creating that native connectivity to Salesforce to make sure that's nice and smooth. So going to show you my favorite part. So this usually is, I call it my drop the mic moment. So I need to prepare for this meeting. I've got a little bit of information on the appointment. I've got my deal room. My team is working away, but I'm getting ready for the big day to meet with Veronica. And I need to know everything heading into this meeting. So I'm going to use Copilot inside Word. And all I need to do is say, hey, I need to create a meeting preparation document, a tear sheet, some sort of report. I need something to help me prepare for this meeting. And what I can do is I can reference that meeting I have on the calendar. This is an example outside of the Veronica scenario, just for an example. But I go and I reference that meeting on my calendar with the client. And I go get a coffee and I just let that chip away. And what it's doing is it's like, okay, I know who you're meeting with. I know the agenda. I know who the RSVPs are. I have all the opportunity summary, what they've done with us previously, what they've said, what they've committed to, what we've committed to, any issues, cases, recent emails, recent communications. So this is a pre-baked template we've created. It's customizable. And we create a full digest of everything that you need to know heading into that meeting. So I used to build these for a living a long time before Microsoft. It was called a call prep report using SSRS reports. I can do it in 45 seconds now with a prompt connected to my Copilot for Sales. I'm out of a job building call prep reports, but it does a wonderful job of kind of aggregating all of that information that's really floating around in Graph and in Salesforce, bringing it together. So great for swivel chair, great for sharing with the team, great for having on the tablet, great for reading on my phone as I'm in the car park heading in. So I've got that information at my fingertips and it's all prepared for me in a nice little report. This will follow through as well. There's examples I have in other presentations where this document now actually becomes living and breathing. I can use this to help generate my PowerPoint presentation. You would have seen some of that in previous episodes in this series, that this is a living, breathing document that can help produce further assets, executive presentations. You can bring it in and even generate other information off it, as I said. So it's very, 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 very powerful. So I've got my meeting preparation. Let's have a look at Teams. So as I said, I'm not going to show the actual during the call, but what happens when I come off the call? That's probably arguably the most important part is, okay, now we're in the negotiations and new opportunities have come up. They've mentioned competitors, things have happened. So in this call, I was on with Veronica and you can see, we had a fairly long call and a lot of this is native Teams capabilities. And I'll try and talk through what some of those are. But I have the ability to look at who spoke, when they spoke, that sentiment analysis going across the call. All of that is there as part of Teams. It's fantastic. We use it every day at Microsoft. And in fact, I can't live without it at Microsoft. I probably couldn't function with the amount of meetings we have. So I have that. But where it gets interesting is my AI notes were generated for me using my M365 Copilot. and it's extremely detailed. And it's broken down into everything that was discussed around the loans, revenue projections, new products. This client was interested in getting to foreign exchange. And we also had several follow-up tasks that involved her team as well as my team to make sure that we followed up on as well. So we have that concept of a mention. It's like, hey, Ashley, I need you to follow up on this. I'm going to bring you in. So we're creating all of those kind of tiebacks. This is part of M365 Copilot core teams. It's amazing. If you haven't tried it, definitely do. So we've got all that there. But where I'm going to go next is, obviously, we've got the transcript of the call, is I have this additional pill over here called sales. And this is my Copilot for sales, again, extending the native teams experience and bringing my CRM into the picture. And this is very, very helpful because obviously coming off that call, I might want to create a new opportunity. So here I go. I have one click. I'm now connected to Salesforce. I can type in, hey, there was a new opportunity there for some FX foreign exchange support. I need to get that in. I can type in the key information and create that opportunity. And it's reasonable enough to assume soon we'll probably be able to do that through autonomous agents and actually do that for you on your behalf as well. That's a path we're heading down around these agent experiences to be able to automate some of those processes as well. But can create an opportunity directly from the call. I can also summarize what happened. I need to tell Ashley and Brad, my internal team, what happened. I need to tell things to the customer. Hey, we listened to you. Here's what we heard. I was really focused on the call, eyes up, not taking notes. Here's what we committed to. Here's what happened. So I can actually launch Outlook, my drafted email directly from here and distribute our meeting notes. Again, all in the context of the opportunity that we joined on the call. I also have a series of sales tasks coming out of this. So, I need to work with the underwriting team to build up an offer. I need to talk to an equipment specialist. Mary Warren needs to be brought in, who's another staff member. I can actually go ahead and create actionable tasks in Dynamics and Salesforce and have those synced with my calendar to make sure we're following up. And that's really human in the loop, closing the loop to make sure we didn't miss anything coming off this critical call, right? I think that's where in our past life, as we have these calls, we take a bunch of notes, we're not focused on it and things get missed. Here, we're making sure things aren't getting missed. There is actionable items coming out of it. And then it starts to get really cool and interesting because everything that was discussed and analyzed is here. So what questions were asked? Is there anything in here that, hey, maybe it's new revenue opportunities for us? Maybe there's something that was mentioned about competitors. So I have a full play-by-play breakdown. Everything Veronica said, everything I said that is captured here. And I can zoom around the call and zoom into that conversation. I also have, from a selling standpoint, how did I do? Was I speaking too fast? Was I speaking too slow? Was I switching? Was I pausing? This now becomes a coaching opportunity. So, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment because in aggregate, looking at all of these sales calls is really, really interesting. Things and themes start to emerge. But participant statistics from myself as well as the client, or in fact, employee to employee. I know, from the Microsoft side, we use this extensively internally, even for, our conferences and meetings and things like that. So statistics are fantastic, if you haven't checked that out. And then down below is really the play-by-play of all the keywords, the breakdown of who said what, when they said it, new names, new contacts, new stakeholders. Abby Moss is coming into the picture. Mary Warren's coming into the picture. We need to know who these people are, and that's going to help us track them and figure that out. And then we have all of these other kind of random things that came up that potentially are competitors. They could be other vendors. They could be opportunities for revenue growth, which we want to tap into as well. So the sales pill in itself packs a punch. It does a lot. It's very, very powerful. We use this coming off these kind of important calls. But what do you do now? Obviously, we've got the opportunity, we've drafted the email, we've done the response. Where I wanted to kind of finish up here today is just talking about looking at this in aggregate. And I like to think about this from a coaching standpoint, a continuous improvement standpoint, a repeatability and reusability standpoint. So for the sales leaders and leadership in the room here, with permissions to do so, you have access to a conversation intelligent dashboard like this. And what that's going to allow you to do is look for those coaching opportunities. So I can drill into my team, my different types of activities, date by date, the types of activities when they happened. And I can really start to get into those ratios around pausing, switching, the meeting, how it was going, all of the top brands that were mentioned, competitors were mentioned, keywords were mentioned, which is important because that's what I said is, we want to kind of keep tabs and aggregate about how many times the competitors been mentioned, or if there's themes around, maybe we should be getting into foreign exchange as a new vertical in our company, things like that. And then we have that sentiment measurement as well. I mentioned, we want to look at where things are going really well. Where is that positive sentiment coming from, the teams and the messaging we're delivering versus what is not resonating? Where are things getting a little bit more contentious? So looking at that in aggregate is really interesting as well from a kind of a macro and micro level across the organization. As I said, an individual could come in and look at this. They would see their own calls that they're responsible for. A leadership would, if you're willing to take the leap, has the ability to look at this from a leadership hierarchical standpoint as well. And then the last piece I think I touched on here is just the recordings themselves. So we're tied back. Obviously, this is back-ended with our systems at Microsoft, so we have access to those recordings and calls. So if I need to come back and review and do some coaching with the team, I can actually drill into individual calls and listen in and take a look at that to review where that sentiment was negative and positive. Now, obviously, what I showed you from a recording, a recap standpoint is dependent on recording and transcription. Totally understand that's not for everybody, and that usually comes with consent, right? I'm talking to a customer, I want to record and transcribe this call. Are you okay with that? I actually heard yesterday there's potentially some changes coming to that. We may not have to record and transcribe to get to that level of recap. There's some work happening around that. We're interested in feedback if you do have feedback on that front. But watch the space. That may not necessarily be a requirement in the future to be able to get an in-memory recap of what happened in order to do some of those recap activities and not have the have the what's the word I'm looking for, the liability of sitting on a transcription and a recording sitting in your environment with customers who may be regulated, or there's requirements around that kind of thing. Regulatory and compliance is where I'm going with that. So
also, I'm seeing a lot of extraordinary innovation. So, even as recently as overnight, Copilot for Voice was announced. You guys probably know that. There at Microsoft, some deep thinking that's going on as well, some visioning. So being able to see, somebody may share, some images or some plans, some architectural documents, and being able to start to, gather and collect information. One question of curiosity with respect to data coming in and analytics, does does Copilot currently for sales integrate or bring in 10K or 10Q information? And the reason I ask that is either today or maybe in the future, but if it's today, that's amazing. A lot of times when I'm on a sales pursuit, I look at that type of information on publicly traded companies to know when their year ends, and also to look at things like where are they against, potentially, do they have budget to burn by the end of a year and they want to get something done? And when does there, what's the urgency? Things like that. Are you guys integrating that yet?
That is an option through Copilot Studio. Yeah, so you can bring that into start augmenting. There's other experiences within the dynamic suite that we natively have. We call the immersive Copilot experience, where we are actually going to start to kind of aggregate and bring some of that information in. Like, give me the latest news. What happened overnight with a client? What happened with their ticker symbol, stock price, things like that. So we're absolutely on that journey. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. We're on that journey. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, many times when we're working with our different clients, we, say to them, hey, let's go look out and look at that data, look at that information. But also, to your point, news is tremendously important. If one company bought another company, how are they integrating systems? How are they, how long are those sales cycles going to take now? Did it speed it up? Did it slow it down? So using Copilot, I think, will help to see, the cadence there and how we can accelerate sales. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'll add on that one thing that where my mind was going is that when we're talking about these enablement agents, is the ability to do farming. So if you think about the Veronica Sue example, that's really farming because she's an existing client. If that was a prospect, what we're going to preview, I think it's going to be November, December, so not something we'll probably come back and talk about in the future, is that I can have my agent go and do that research for me and produce a report that comes back and says, hey, here's what we know about Veronica. Here's the latest news of her company. Here's some research we found out on LinkedIn and other systems, and why we think she is a very good prospect based on these buy signals, what she's saying, what we know about her, what we know about her company. So we will actually go and do that work for you, produce what we're going to call a Sales Hub resource report to sort of say, hey, Brad, here's the top 5 we think you should go after in your mailbox based on all of these kind of data points and factors. So I got a little bit of an early look at some of that yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. You're going to see a lot of that. And I'd love to come back and talk to you December, January. But just keep your eyes out for our Ignite conference in November. You're going to see a lot of this good stuff coming down.
That's amazing. I mean, even just like you also talked about the connection in with LinkedIn, which obviously makes a lot of sense, but just being able to start farm and pull that data and that information into one screen, that's fantastic. And we'll definitely have you come back for a refresh on this.
Yeah, love LinkedIn, huge fan. Can't wait to see what's coming down the pipe with that. We've got some good things coming.
Amazing, super.
I think I just have a couple last little pieces here. That's all I have from a demo perspective, but I just wanted to kind of close with some closing thoughts. I've been personally on this Copilot for sales journey for over 2 years now. So these numbers are really starting to improve. So we do have evidence, across a variety of industries. And a lot of it today is really around time saving and better use of time and less administrative burden. So you can see some statistics here as well. For the companies that we've been surveying, it really is helping from a productivity standpoint, a data hygiene standpoint, and helping people stay in their flow of work. What we're working on and where we are getting evidence around is that top line revenue growth as well. So we're going to have some information on that a little further down. We are absolutely happy to talk offline around that as well. But we're going to, in addition to the productivity savings, we want to look at, hey, where are we seeing revenue growth? Where are we seeing reduction in churn and some of those? And a lot of that's going to be based on us, customer zero, Microsoft, because we use this extensively internally. So we're going to quantify and share some of that coming up in the future here as well. But just wanted to leave you this as well, that, 2 years in the journey, it's very, very powerful. And of course, hopefully you saw from what I showed today, love talking about it. It's a fantastic product. And it's certainly a lot of companies and a lot of industries globally are piloting and enabling this and working with it today.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing our clients, beginning, right? And when they start to see the power, because it's really changing workflows for them, because it's accelerating everything in a great way. I think that as they start to see these tools and see what's possible beyond just switching it on, there has to be, a level of let's get the teams together and really show and share with people and with teams how you can use this, where it can be applied, and really, because there's so much here, where to start. Sometimes people get a little bit overwhelmed with it's so much to do, or let's just go get a license and try. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. You guys have done a great job of making it easy, but a lot of times we'll come in, partner up with customers, and help them to really make it work well for them based on their needs. So we really help to customize that. And we love the studio stuff as well. It's amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Ashley, any thoughts to share?
Yes, I think one of the most interesting things that I've been running into, obviously, Microsoft is customer zero because we're using the products and starting to roll it out. It's the human element, and I feel like it's easy to deploy the technology, but the sooner that we can get it out to the people in the field, the better, because it's going to take a while for guys like me to get comfortable using these new AI tools. Looking back into the 90s without dating, it's like, how do you go back and look at how long it took to get email systems up and running and people started using it comfortably? It takes time to get people comfortable using a new technology. So I love the fact that Microsoft and partners like Quanta Networks are working together to kind of, let's get it out there. Let's help our customers get started using it. And as a result of that, you'll start to build momentum inside your own company. The enthusiasm will start to grow. The realization of the benefits will start to find themselves in daily meetings, and you'll just gently start seeing an increase in productivity. But it all starts with that first salesperson using it, that first sales manager rolling it out. So that's kind of the go-to. That's kind of the go-to message from this whole seminar series is the media would make you think that AI is this complicated technology that takes a lot to roll out. But Microsoft is saying, no, we're rolling it out as part of Microsoft 365, as part of Dynamics, as part of Salesforce. Just plug it in and let's start running with it. And you'll be surprised at the benefits that you'll recognize immediately.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, even some of the opportunities we've been collaborating on, actually, it's been tremendous to be able to use Copilot with you so that we can start to see, what's happening, what are the trends, where's something going, and we can make real-time decisions. It's been amazing, truly.
And I love that we can customize it too. I mean, all the stuff we're showing is out of the package, ready to go. But with our Copilot Studio and our AI Studio in Azure, a more sophisticated customer who's ready to take it to the next level can really start to customize the toolkits. And Brad, I think you mentioned, third-party data sets and things like that.
Yes.
So in fact, this might be a good segue into your section, Brad, to talk about what does the implementation look like and how can we help accelerate adoption?
Sure. Yeah. So move on to the next slide. So different ways that we approach this, Copilot is, a basic way to just tuck in, start to use the technology. And, like you might use an AI tool today, and that's, the public internet and getting a little bit of access to information. If you click forward to the next slide. As Matt spoke about, role space, so being able to get access to data that's inside your organization and do a little bit of customization work if and as needed. Already connects to Salesforce. There will be other connectors and other tools, and we can help with that type of work. And then custom Copilot. So that's becomes really powerful when you can connect to your vendors, and you can basically be able to gate and fence in what data you can get access to or they can get access to based on the SLAs and the cybersecurity framework that Microsoft already has in place. So to me, security was a really important one, and consumer privacy and data privacy. And so with custom Copilot, that's definitely all attainable. And now you can really see from your vendors what's happening. Go on to the next slide. So in terms of connecting, these are a few of the data sources that are possible, but the key is to make this accessible and easy. And to Matt's point, to be able to really look at the data and really get into doing the business you want to do instead of having to spend the time and energy, doing all of this research or having your teams do the research, getting out and doing the actual work of the work in sales and relationship building and closing, and frankly, what you're good at, and kind of staying focused there. So we're available for consultation and help. A lot of organizations that have Microsoft licenses don't realize they can have more than one partner, and we specialize in Copilot and all things AI. So a lot of times we come in with another organization, and there might be an existing partner. We'll come in and we'll be a specialist, and we become an additional partner that a client would work with, and we work closely with your teams to make sure you can realize your sales, pipeline and really make it happen is really the key there. And the next slide, just a way to contact us. Well, here are the upcoming episodes, as Ashley already mentioned. So finance is coming up, and then service, and then finally a way to communicate and contact us. You can send us email. The link to HTTP is basically takes you back to the series, and then the QR code, of course. So really great, Matthew. Thank you so much. Ashley, amazing, amazing insights. Really, really great.
Yeah, my pleasure. Looking forward to coming and talking to you again in a few months' time. Pace of innovation is amazing in this space. It's really exciting what's coming up. It's going to get even better. So looking forward to it.
Super.